I'll get off the recording. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Okay, we are finishing up. So, last 2 weeks of class, and actually uh, sorry, wait a second. We did that one. We did that one. Let's talk about where we are. Oh, almost at the end. Can't scroll down any further. We've made some progress. So, we've only got three more meetings tonight, Wednesday, next Monday. Next Wednesday, we're done. So, finish off your projects. So tonight we're going to do some more Android programming. Actually, I'd say sort of do some Android programming. Last time we sort of looked at the very basic stuff. Tonight, I'll show you some stuff about Android. We'll write some code together. Don't know if it, well, I mean, if you want to try to sing along at home, that's fine. Otherwise, just pay attention, and I'll be looking for people to interact and ask questions. Um, I don't have much of a plan for Wednesday. Wednesday, this last Wednesday of the course is always sort of a free time. We'll see how much Android stuff we get done tonight. Maybe there'll be some more to do on Wednesday. I'm kind of hoping not, but we'll see how things go. And well, we could review some course materials. We could, if there's a topic that you'd like me to talk about, I can. Actually, I've got something that I want to run by you guys, if you wouldn't mind. So, but I don't know. Any thoughts on Wednesday? Something that since we'll have some time together, I assume we don't want more mob programming. I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. 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 I'll talk about the final next. I'll just do that because yeah, I'm sure it's all in your mind. So yeah, I was going to cover it next, but maybe this will help figure out Wednesday. So the final exam. So really important stuff, I guess. The final exam is worth 12% of your grade, which actually in the big scheme of things, it's not that big, not that much. Um, I'm I'm not one of those professors that wants your entire grade to be determined by how you do on one test. That's I sort of get it conceptually where it's like it's your one chance to demonstrate everything you learned in the course. Well, I gave you lots of chances to demonstrate what you learned in the course. So instead of having one chance to screw up your grade, you have lots of chances to screw up your grade, or think of it that way. So the final exam uh, comes in two parts. The first part is an individual part. It's essentially two quizzes put together. It'll be like six short answer questions, it's those kinds of things. Any topic that was covered in the course is fair game. Anything that basically was listed on this page. So any of the lecture topics. Although I'm pretty and yeah, and basically it's things that were reinforced through your through your assignments, through the mobbing, the things that we learned there, the stuff that we did in class, the activities and such. Uh, it's open book, open notes, which means well, first of all, sorry, it's administered on Canvas, so it is a Canvas quiz. It's open book, open notes, which means that any reference hosted on my website or really linked to on this page is fair game. If if you download the PDF so you can search them if you want. You could print them out. I don't think we really do that these days. But just to be clear, no other resource, no electronic resources can be used. So no looking up answers online, no AI, nothing like that. My hope is that all the concepts are familiar to you. That while there might be little things you have to think about, or maybe go back and look at the notes, for references to make sure you got it right. History shows that most students have the information they need. Can we use our own notes? You may use your own notes, Spencer. Yep. And again, it's like, no internet resources. Sorry, if you have a Google Doc with your notes on it, but you know what I mean. It's like, either something that you created yourself or that I created for you, and that I guess includes the YouTube videos also. But yes, Stephen, you can use the slides and the notes from the website. Yeah, Shanice. It is on campus. Yep. And so it'll open up, I don't know, like 5 minutes into class or something like that. Maybe it's 10 minutes into class. Oh yeah, and the final exam is during class time. So there's not like special time that we meet. We'll just do that during class on next Monday, the 16th. Yep. So we'll do that. So the first part is the individual portion. You've got, I don't know, 40 or 45 minutes to answer those six questions. It's usually plenty of time for most people. Excuse me. And then the second part. is a group project. It's not group coding, it's a group discussion. I'm giving you an interesting problem to think about. It's a problem that I think is interesting, excuse me, to think about. And then you'll work in small groups to discuss the problem, come up with a solution. It's really just one last opportunity for you to think creatively in this course about something that I think you'll find relevant. It's shrouded in mystery, so that's about pretty much all I'm going to tell you. And that's 4 out of the 12 points. So prepare for it to take the entire class time. Um, and then, well, depending on how everybody feels, we can go out to celebrate or something afterwards. Because boys, has been a lot of work this term. So, let's see here. Anything else for the final exam? Nope. Um, yeah, so that'll be next Monday. And then, like I said, next Wednesday, on March 18th, there won't be class. Instead, all the remaining coursework is due. So that's Project 5, Quiz 6, which is the Android quiz, and then the end of the term survey. Oh yeah, I guess the mob programming experiences reflection is due on Wednesday also. So there's a bit of stuff that's left to do in the course. I will say for the final exam, it's something that you've got to choose between studying for the final exam and working on your Project 6. Well, Project 6 is worth like a lot more than, no, not a lot more. When did we assign that? Back on here, maybe? Sorry, I'm looking for it. There we go. So Project 6 is worth 13 points, actually more than your final exam. What I do recommend is that you spend some time sort of reviewing the content of the course, skimming over the PDFs. Honestly, sort of like indexing everything in your mind. So when you see a question, it's like, oh yeah, right, that's about that API. I'll go, I know where to look that up. Yeah, you can have your own notes, and I suppose if your own notes can you use AI to summarize the notes? Okay, fine, whatever. You'll figure it out. You're smart people, and that's perfectly valid way to access information. You just can't do it real time. If you want to do it beforehand, hey, I'll reward your preparation, I guess. Anything else for the final exam? Yeah.
A quick note.
Yep.
I'm not looking at the final exam schedule. I think we have the room from 5:45 onward.
Oh, really? Wait, there's a different rooms?
Yeah, I don't know why they do it that way, but the room might be occupied.
5:45. Okay. Do you have an indication of who's in here beforehand? Oh, you think it's going to be? I don't know.
I mean, there was.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Well, okay, we'll play it by ear then if we don't have access. Oh, that's weird. That's never been a problem before. Honestly, I didn't, but is this something new that they did? I don't know.
Like, feels like they changed the exam schedule this term.
Wow, okay.
It could also just be, I know evening classes have like a different.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Well, hey, we'll figure it out. I know the final exam is inherently stressful, so sorry if things don't go exactly according to plan. We all get to explore resiliency.
15 minutes of cram time.
Exactly. Yeah, 50 more minutes. Yeah, cram time. You can put even more stuff with ChatGPT to tell you what it needs. I don't know. Cool. So anyway, so that is the final exam. On Wednesday, I don't know, anything you'd like me to speak to, anything I can prep in 48 hours or what's it, 36 hours for Wednesday? Anything you'd like me to talk about?
Yeah, what do you want?
Okay. Well, what I've got on my mind is there is a course I've been daydreaming about for a little while, and I wanted to pitch it all to you to get some feedback. So, it is not required material, and so then, and I'm not gonna record it. I'll offer it over Zoom so that people can participate remotely. But I don't think it's something that I'm going to want to record it, because it'll be pretty rough. It might involve quite a bit of commentary from me, on things. So yeah, I got to destroy the evidence. So, but yeah, I'm really curious to hear what you think, because I think it's something that I feel pretty strongly about. That would be good for people to have, and but I'm curious about how it resonates with you, and also how it might overlap with other courses in the curriculum, of which I, of course, am not familiar because I don't have any other courses. So, okay. Nice. Anything else before we get started? No. Okay. Android. Oh, sorry. One other program note. Time changer something is getting to me. I'm feeling really exhausted, so I apologize if I ramble. I'm not at 100%. I'm also probably I had a really busy weekend, so uh, I might not be at my best. So I apologize. Okay. So just to remind us, what's all that stuff? Oh, those need to get added to Git. Cool. These don't. Um. Okay. So previously on Android development. So we couple as of just last week, we installed Android Studio. We call it Android Studio is a variant of IntelliJ that is optimized and customized for building Android applications. So the intent here is that it ought to look very familiar to you from working with IntelliJ on the first couple projects, but it has a bunch of additional tools that enable you to do very efficient Android development. And sorry, I'm going to take myself off the screen. You don't need to see me. There we go. And we saw how to install it, how to configure it. One of the things that Android Studio makes it very easy to do is to install and run Android device emulators. And so the way you develop, in order to develop an Android application, you need a device, and they have these virtual devices on which you can run your application. So I'm going to boot one up right now. There it is, starting up. And for testing our Android applications, we're going to use a Pixel 9 device running API 36. And you've got a real phone, a real looking device. And we had deployed our phone bill application here, which is the application that's built in Android Studio. And right now, it's got a button that when you click hello, it says hello, and it gives you a little toast right there. So that's the application that you build. And as you may recall, there's a bunch of code that backs all of this stuff. Sorry, those uncommitted files are driving me crazy. Added, I guess it's all Gradle files. Yeah. Don't know how I missed that the first time. Oops. Gotta add those all and then commit and push. Nice. There's several pieces of source code that we need to be aware of. I'll go back to this thing. Every screen, I call them screens, in your application is backed by something called an activity, because that's what the user interacts with, right? It's called an activity. And there's Java code that's behind that. And the Java code primarily does things like, well, it'll initialize the activity when it started. And then probably more relevant to what we're doing, it has the logic that is invoked in response to some interaction. So for instance, when you click the say hello button, the is this code right here, the say hello method, which is invoked. So there's the Java code that underlies it. And then there's the yeah, there we go. There's also XML configuration that specifies that it describes the layout of the activity. So the visual layout of the activity is codified or implemented using XML. And Android Studio has an editor. It's pretty much what you see is what you get, WYSIWYG, for over the XML, and so then you can visually lay out your pretty much what your screen, your activity is going to look like, and then you can as you make changes, you can then redeploy it to the to the emulator, and so then we can do things like change the text here. I thought you could. You can do that by. I'm gonna go out of split screen mode because my screen isn't wide enough. You can. Oh yeah, you can edit here. This text is off in a resource string, which maybe I have to. Okay, it's easier if I navigate to it, I guess, in the XML. We'll just go instead of hello class, we'll just say hello everyone. Now I've made that change. I can basically rerun or redeploy. the Android app. It's building it for the first time. It's been a while, so I think everything needs to warm up. And then it'll go and deploy it. As you recall, with the emulator, you can do things like take a snapshot of the screen, take videos, rotate it, all that kind of stuff. And now it says hello, everyone. So these are the pieces parts to an Android application. There's the Java code that responds to events. There's the XML that is the layout for the application. And so what you do is you kind of go through this loop where you draw some UI, you write some Java code to handle it, and then you deploy it, and then you click around and test out to see what works and what doesn't. Um, Let's see here. Before we get started, though, anything else I can tell you sort of about the Android fundamentals? Anything that's come up in studying the Android content on the website that I can tell you about before we dive in and start evolving this application?
Just a stupid question. In
Mhm.
order to deploy the app into our emulator, you hit the run button at the top of the screen and is that correct?
Yes.
And then is it also hot reload? So as you make changes, it'll download to the emulator automatically?
No, you need to rebuild it. So yeah. And honestly, that's probably for the best. I mean, actually, it's nice and fast now on my computer, but because it's a very simple application, as the application gets bigger and bigger, the build times get bigger and bigger, just like your Java code does. And so then, yeah, I mean, maybe there's a way to do hot reload. But one of the nice things about again, like the WYSIWYG editor and stuff, is you can sort of see what it's going to look like. You can tweak it in that, and then it's more of a matter of deploying it to test it for real. Good question, though. Okay, sweet. Well, so we've got this, very simple application, and what I'd like to walk through tonight is um, turning it into a simple calculator. And this will introduce us to concepts like adding another activity to an application, to an Android application, using some different widgets for getting text input and then also passing data between activities. I've got some notes that I follow here on my phone, so you'll see me looking down a lot there. And the intent here is that that you're able to see some pieces parts. We can talk about how everything fits together to give you the sort of some examples of what you might want to apply in your own Android application. Okay. So, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change a little bit of stuff here. So instead of say hello, I want to have a button that launches a calculator. So I'm going to say, let's see here, instead of say hello, I'm going to change this to be, so I'm going to rename it. Oh, you know what I don't have is the keyboard shortcuts, which maybe, or not the keyboard shortcuts, what's the thing called? Ah, darn it. I can't remember. And well, I'll just use some refactoring stuff instead. So I'll just rename this string instead of being say hello, I'll say launch calculator. And now I'll have this be launch calculator. And now if I run it, I should just change the name of the button. Just make sure. Yep, now it says launch calculator. Okay. Now I need to create a new activity. Now, an activity is like, oh, it's like a new class, right? Well, it is a new class and it's got new XML. And there's configuration stuff there. So actually, let me just commit this. Um, Change button label. So we need to add a new activity. Now, like I said, this involves creating a new XML file, a new Java class, adding some more configuration to the Android manifest, things like that. And luckily, IntelliJ makes it easy to do that. Um, and so then you can say new, oops, wait a second. Say file, new, here we go, activity. And I want let's see here. I want to make sure it's yeah, I had a note here. I think we just want an empty views activity. I think it's what we want. Oh, wait, there it is. Yes, empty views activity. Okay, this probably a little wizard for creating the activity. We are going to call this calculator activity. Calculator activity. Yes, we want to have a layout file. Yes, we want one of those XML files. You can have an activity with actually doesn't have a display associated with it. It's used for well other things, but the activity that we're going to do the activities that we're going to create here all have views. So the layout name is fine. It is not a launcher activity. A launcher activity is like the main screen. So or one that or technically it's one that receives something called a intent that we'll see here shortly. Put it in my package. It's in Java. Great. Okay, so click finish. And now that creates some new files. Actually, let's look at the changes here to see what changed. 3 files changed. We now have a calculator activity, Java file, a calculator activity XML file, and the Android manifest changed. And so then there's now a new activity here in the manifest. Just let that do its thing, but the manifest is what the build uses to identify that activity. So that's all cool. Let's see here. Let's create a text view here, and we'll just say, oh, let's see here. The text will be this is a calculator, and we need to anchor it, so it'll be in the center. We kind of saw this stuff last week. Oops, that didn't take. Watch me fumble with the editor. Good. So now we've got this this activity. And so I can build it and deploy it, but it's not terribly interesting because there's no way to get to this activity, right? So you'll see you'll launch and it's still in the main page there. So it's like, yeah, it says launch calculator and it still says hello. So the first thing I need to do, or the next thing I need to do is I need to change the behavior of the launch calculator button to actually launch that calculator activity. So, as you can imagine, the way you do that is you go back to the main activity, and now instead of say hello, this is going to be launch calculator. So we will change that calculator. And I just did a rename, and that will you'll rename it in the XML file too. So it has changed the activity main.xml, and now instead of calling the say hello method on the click, it now calls launch calculator. Let's see here. Let's see, main activity. Okay, great. Now launch calculator, instead of making a toast, it's going to go launch that other activity. If you read, well, when you read, if you or when you watch the Android UI lecture, we learn about these things called intents. And so the whole idea, and that's INTENTS, like camping, not like intense, like skateboarding. So the whole idea here is like, hey, I'm doing one thing in my Android application. Now I want to go do something else. I want to go to a different screen. I want to launch a different application. I want to send some information someplace. And you use an intent. So what we'll do here is we will create an intent that launches the other activity. And so we do that is we create an intent object. Yep. And we just create a new intent. Now this constructor, the constructor has a couple of things. Here we want to use the second constructor that has something called the package contents, which is basic context, which is like, hey, this is the context that you're launching the activity in, and then it provides the name, and then you give the name of give the class for the activity that you want to launch. So I've got this intent object. And then we can invoke the start activity method that's inherited from the superclass here of all of activities where you pass it this intent. And what this will do is it will start a new activity and through that intent or that the activity described by that intent. So now I click launch calculator, and now it takes me to this new screen saying this is a calculator. So this is kind of neat. And so let's just check this in. Launch the calculator activity. This is neat, but it's not terribly interesting. I have to use like the buttons in order to go back and stuff. And so what now I want to do is I want to add a button to the calculator that brings me back. Right, it's kind of nicer navigation than having to use the triangle at the back. Okay, so now I need to add a new button to my activity. I'm going to go to my design view here. I'm going to say I'm going to add a button. And I'm going to anchor it appropriately. Actually, well, I want to anchor this one to the bottom first, probably. Yep. And then here, I want to get rid of this. Oops. I want to move this. Did I do that right? I did not. Come on, babies. Right there. Nope. Oh, I have to do this again. Yep, I have to do that. And then I have to do this. I don't want that to be a... Ugh. Yeah, okay. This is always the worst, just watching me trying to fumble around with this stuff. Like, I don't want that to be...
Interesting.
I know it is, and you know what? It's usually okay, but sometimes it's not. Can I right click? Let's see here. Oh, clear constraints of selection. That's kind of nice. Oh, and can I say constrain? Oh, I like this. Oh, this is a way better. This is way easier. Okay, so like, yeah, I want to say constrain to parent bottom. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, and then this one, that one is constrained like that. Okay, okay, nice. So I suppose, oh, and then can I say constrain not to parent top? So I guess here I have to like drag this. Here I have to drag. Oh, why can't I constrain that? Huh. Isn't that interesting? I thought I could constrain. Maybe I don't need to constrain it. Find out. I've still got this funny constraint right here. So now this is when okay, here again, this is when I sort of have to go off script here and say, what's funny here? So this. Yeah, margin bottom. I don't want that. So I just delete that. That's super weird. Oh, and I want the text here to be, back to main. And so I can change the XML. I go back to the design. Okay, here, that's good. Now can I constrain it? Why not? Okay, so now I will go here and I will say, oh, I need to, okay, this is a good thing. Okay, so I want to say, I want to constrain the top of this widget to the bottom of this one up here with this text view 2. Oops. And then, yeah, that's more like what I wanted. Nice. I'm just going to launch it to see how it looks in practice. Launch calculator. Oh, that's pretty good. Good deal. Okay. I want to clean up a couple of things and show you what those IDs are all about. So I'm going to go to the XML. So um, every widget in your Android application has an ID associated with it, and this so you can find it, so you can reference it. And so as you can see here, the button 2, which is the back to main button, when it talks about what its constraints are, it references the other widget by its ID. So I don't like this name. I don't like this ID here for it. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. Mm, yeah. I want to give it a different ID. Now, can I just change it here? So if I just call this calculator title, maybe? Calculator title. Yeah, it doesn't rename it. Can I just say rename? Oh, I guess I can. Yeah. Rename it to calculator title. Nice. And let's see here. Do I need to rename the button? Probably not. Cool. Let's see here. Oh, I should extract string resources for these. Great. I just won't complain as much. Nice. Remember what those string resources are? There's a strings.xml file that has basically all of these resources that are defined. Okay, so I'm just going to run it one more time just to make sure that everything still builds and runs. You know me, I'm always looking for rapid feedback. I'm not writing unit tests, so okay, everything looks pretty good. Now I need to make it so that when you click back to main, you actually go back to main. And so then what we'll do is we will add an on click, which let's see here, on click. Oh, I guess it's deprecated. Okay. And this will be back to main. Back to main. Yeah, go back to main. Activity. And I'm going to create, there we go, method. Let me calculate activity. Okay, so this is the method. This is the code that'll be invoked when your when the back to main. And I believe all you need to do here is click the finish method. So this tells the activity, okay, yep, you're done. And it basically, when you launch activities, you end up, or yeah, when you launch activities, you have this sort of stack of activities. And so then finish will just pop it off the stack. So yeah, so let's run it one more time. And let's go back here. So we're going to launch the calculator. We're going to click back to main. And there we go. So activities have this whole life cycle, right? Where they're launched and they're created. And you can imagine there's all sorts of stuff you might want to do, like loading information from some file or pre-populating a bunch of information. Those kinds of things can all be done on created or as it goes through various parts of its life cycles is all covered in the lecture. Okay, so what we saw here is that we can launch an activity or start an activity via an intent, and then we can finish it. We can close the activity or go back off the stack by using the finish method. So we'll say close the calculator activity when the button is clicked. Nice. Okay. Well, our calculator isn't very interesting, right? All you do is go back. So let's make it a little bit more interesting. We're just going to have the calculator allow the user to print two numbers, and then it will, sorry, so enter two numbers into the UI, and then there'll be we will compute their sum. It'll just add the two together. So let's draw what it's going to look like first in the calculator activity. So here, back in design mode, I'm going to have, so what I want is like a text field and then a plus sign, another text field and a button, which is the equals. And when you click it, it'll populate a third text field with the sum. And I want that to be all laid out horizontally. So I'm going to do that using a layout object. So I go into a lot of detail about layout objects in the lecture. The idea here is that you've got a widget that is not so much responsible for user input or output as it is for as for layout, as it is for arranging other widgets in a certain order. So I am going to make a horizontal layout right here. Oh, and I'm going to constrain it. Yeah, this is another place where things just get ugly. Yeah, I'm going to constrain it appropriately. And let's see here. How do I want to do this? I'll try putting the widgets in first and then see if we can make it pretty. So let's see here. First I want just just probably just plain text. It was plain text versus a text view. I don't remember the difference between the two. I just want a text view. Wait a second. Did I do a horizontal? Is that a vertical layout or a horizontal layout? What did I do? I think I did the wrong thing. Let's go find out. Let's look at the XML. Oh, nice. Oh, thanks. Linear horizontal. Okay. I guess let me just add another one then. Oh wait, is this text? Oh, that's not okay. Text view is not text input. Right. I think I want. Oh, did I just delete everything? Okay, no big loss. We'll go back to the layout, linear layout, horizontal. Let's put that in there. We'll go back to text. I guess we just want plain text. I'll add a plain text here. Okay, yeah, that's good. There's that. Then I want a text view. There we go. Yeah, this will be the plus sign. Text will be plus. It's gonna look really ugly, and then we'll make it less ugly, but then it'll still be pretty ugly. We're all gonna go so far here. And then another one. Oh, but it didn't go in the right order. Maybe it's because I've made things too wide. Where'd that little plus go? And then I want to have a button, which will be the equal sign. Then I'll have a button that I want to be the equal sign. There we go. And here this will be equals. And then I'm going to want something else here. Yeah, this is getting super messy. Let's see here. Can I get this M's? I don't need 10 M's. I want 3. Does that help? Yeah. Bring me. Okay. And here I want 3 M. Oh, and M's is the width in number of characters. Oh, and I want this thing to be aligned center. So let's look for the alignment. See a layout, height, visibility. I want alignment, text alignment. I want this to be centered. Now the plus is centered. Great. And then I'm going to want another. Let's just do another text view because it's read only. I want that to be the sum over here. And then here, sure. So anyway, yeah, like I said, not the prettiest thing in the world, but it will do. Okay, I don't need the whole thing to be so damn tall, but maybe that's because the constraints aren't working. Okay, so this is I've sort of sketched things out. So I'm gonna have a sum, one summand. I think is that what those are called, right? So you have two, one number plus another number equals a third number. So that's roughly what I want. What it's all about. Let's go over. I bet if I launch this now, it'll be just like super ugly because very little of it is constrained. I'm just kind of curious what it looks like. Oh yeah, it's right up here at the top because nothing's constrained. That's fine. Now let's go back and fill in some of those constraints. Actually, if I write, can I say this? Can I say constrain to, yeah, it's just to the parent. It doesn't let you constrain it otherwise, which, no, I also go to the XML and give it a try. Okay. Oh, it's got a complaint about a linear layout, which is probably like the fact that, yeah, one of the, you know, the, oh yeah, the linear layout. Oops, where'd everything else go? Oh wait, there they are. They're up there. Okay, yeah. Here are the buttons. I'm just gonna call this back to main, just so I know what I'm looking at here. We're actually, oh, should rename. Okay, so like that is constrained there. And so now I want to change things a little bit. And actually, I want to move just, it's not strictly necessary, but it'll make more sense to me if I move this chunk of XML, the button here, if I put it down below linear layout so that the XML is kind of ordered the same way it looks on screen. You can, depending on the constraints ultimately will determine, but this to me makes more sense. Okay. So let's see here. I want to say the following. Okay, let's try to do some constraints on the linear layout. Good, good, good. Okay, so let's see here. It's probably going to be kind of similar to this. Oh, linear layout. I want to give this one an ID. And I'm going to call it calculator. What do I want to call it? Yeah, maybe calculator. I don't know. Oops. Yeah. Say ID slash at ID slash. Oh, why doesn't it like it? Oh, do I need to use a plus or something like that? Yeah, plus ID maybe. Right. That sort of says allocate a new ID. Okay, so I'll need that. And so now I want, let's see, I want the calculator. I want its constraint to the bottom. Instead of this being constrained to back to main, this is going to be to the top of calculator. But I think all the other stuff is this, yeah, is right. Yeah, the top and everything like that. Good. And let's see here. I want similar stuff for this guy. Oh, and she's got layout height and layout width. I don't think I want that. Oh yeah, and layout absolute. Yeah, I don't want any of that stuff there. Okay, good. So let's see here. I want to keep this one, but I want all of this stuff here. This is just what the tool does, right? It says, oh yeah, by default, the width is that, the height is that. Um, there is a school of thought that says that, you want your layouts to be like very specified and things like that. I prefer to use the layout. Prefer to use constraints and use the layout widgets to lay things out. So that it's, it'll port better, or if it changes screen size or whatever, it'll get it right. So I'm going to replace all that with these guys again, but now we've got to, yeah. So let's see here. The bottom of this one is to the top of, and oh, this order is weird. I want to do top first. Then I want to, oops, I don't want to screw it up like that though. There we go. Okay. So the top of this one is going to be constrained to the bottom of the thing above it, which is going to be the, what is that thing called? Calculator title. Okay. And then let's see here. The bottom, I'm gonna put this one down here. Okay. So both of these now, start and end basically means left and right. Um, it's start and end so that, because this is sort of text oriented, and not every written language reads left to right. There are a number of them that read right to left. So there's the whole notion of start and end. Luckily, top and bottom is the same. Okay. And then here we want the bottom of the calculator widget to be constrained to the top of that back to main button. Okay, that's a little happier there. What was it still complaining about though? Oh, I guess those are required. Really? Oh, anybody remember what they were? Yeah, right. It was a bunch of pixels or something like that. Device. Maybe the I don't know. Can
Required because
I don't know why it was required. I was surprised by that.
they're like separate.
Maybe? I don't know either. I'm gonna fix this one. Let's see here at the top, start and bottom. Here we go. Okay, so the top of this will be the bottom of the calculator now, and I think all the other stuff is correct. Okay, so let's go back to the design, and it might then. Oh, this is weird. Yeah. If I don't know, can I just make this? I make this short, and then make this. Oops. Can I make it fit? Make it fit. Oh, darn.
You would undo it and then just like dragging it inwards, like drag
Oh, maybe. Good call. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay.
the Android support like media queries might be able to do like and one development class I'd like breakpoints for media queries like on screen width of 700.
Oh, maybe. I bet you could. It's I don't know how to do it exactly, honestly, but yeah, I mean, I think in general the Android the Android layout, it's influenced by document layout, by web pages, what everybody knows. And so conceptually, yeah, it tries to reuse all that stuff. Just gonna make these centered. I think it'll look a little better. All right, cool. Okay. Let's go back to the XML and see if it's complaining about anything. It's complaining about all of these. Let's see here. What is this? Why is that yellow? Seeing autofill hints. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. This will be, no, this shouldn't be name. I'm just gonna have, can I just get rid of the text? I'll complain about that too. See here, autofill hints. And then we can just say number. I don't know. What does that do? Does that like put the word number in it? Oh, I guess not. Okay, maybe there's another way to do it. Okay. Let's see. We want that one to be a plus. Nice. Okay. And then here we don't want any text. I'm just gonna get rid of the whole thing. No. Maybe I'll just leave this in there. Okay. Nice. Anyway, so this is another thing you do in Android development. You kind of play around with the layout, you play around the XML until you get something that looks nice, or you think is going to look nice, and then you run it in the app to be sure. Launch calculator. Ooh, that looks pretty good actually. And you can click on here, and that's okay. Not very useful. Oh, this is super annoying. Okay, good. You can drag it down here at least. Okay, yeah. So now you can say, 4 and then 5. And then what you'll want to be able to do is click equal and then have it. Oops, you'll say that over there. It doesn't even say text view right now. What's that? Here, just have that empty. Okay. So yeah. So okay, good. We just laid it out and it looks okay. I really want to get this thing out of the way. That's super annoying. Can I just put it, what does that do? Oh, good. Anchors it down there. Nice. Okay. So then, yeah, well, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, good. So we'll commit this. Um, how's it tracking so far? Start making sense what we're doing, how to use the tools. Anything you want to talk about while I'm committing this stuff? Good.
This makes you seem to be a little wonky.
What was that?
Wonky when you're using visualizing.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, right. It is kind of like, yeah, coding like HTML. And I don't know, maybe there's better ways to do it. I'm sure your AI could like, create it for you too. Well, right, not right or wrong. As long as you understand what it's doing, it's okay. Um, okay. So now what we want to do is we want to have the calculator do something. So we want to say, hey, listen, when I've put something in here and put something in there, and when I click equals, well, I want to create the sum and then populate this number over here. So any ideas on what we need to do then in order to make that happen? Sorry, what was that?
We just need the button, like how we made the button to go back to maybe something.
Right. Okay, yeah, have the button do something. Yeah. So okay, we'll just go to, let's see here. Where's our plus? Oh, sorry, where's our equals? Right here. Okay. And so then we'll add an on click, and then we'll have it say, compute sum. And we will have it create. Yeah. Okay. So now what? So like conceptually, what do we need to do here? We have this method that's here in the class, and we need to go and get the whatever text was entered into this field, whatever text was entered into this field. And then we need to convert them to integers and compute their sum, and then populate this field over here with their sum. So several steps there, and here's how to do those steps. So this is where the IDs come in handy. So here let's see here. Yeah. So each one of these widgets, and remember this widget right here is XML is ultimately turned into like this widget right here. This is where we and each one of these has an ID. And what you can do inside your Java code is get a reference to the widget with a particular ID. So we're going to give it a more interesting ID. We're going to call this one left operand. Oh, I should rename it. No, I shouldn't. Left operand. I don't think it's used in any place. We'll call the plus. We're not going to need it for anything. We'll call this one right operand. And we'll call this one sum. Okay, so now that we've got reasonable names for those, or at least useful names for those, we can use find view, this method called find view by ID to then go get a reference to that, widget. And Android has this magical class called R for resource, and it has a field in it called IDs. And then you can then give it the name of an ID that's there in your XML. This is all stuff that's computed as part of the build. It's kind of some magic stuff, but the syntax is really nice to use. So here we want to use the left operand. And so this code right here will give you a reference back to that left operand object. So I'm going to extract a variable into it, and I'm going to call that left operand field. And I want this to be, it's going to be, sorry, was that a text view? What was that thing? That was an edit text. Edit text. Cool, left operand field. And so this right here, this variable stores the Java object that is, that represents this field right here, the same Java object that you configured here in this XML. right? This is sort of like, there's not too much magic here. This is how all this stuff gets put together. And it's a Java object, so it's got all sorts of methods on it. And you can do things like, what do you say? You say get text, and then you say get, oops. Maybe you say toString. I can never remember. You say get string, or do you say, maybe you just say toString? Do you say toString? Let's find out. What does it look like? Oh, so ignored. Well, not for long. Okay, so now we're going to say left operand string. And just so we know what we're doing, let's make a toast for that. And we'll just say, we'll just say left operand string and then toast dot long. Oops. Oh, and then we got display and we got launch it or something. What's that called? Display? What do we say? Show? Yeah. Cool. Because I don't remember what the if it's the right way to get it or not. I suppose we could run under the debugger, but hey, let's just use the equivalent of a print line. So if I say 4 and then 4 plus 5 and I click equals, oh good, there's the toast and it's 4. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so then we will get the left operand string. We'll do the same thing for the right operand. And I'm just going to cheat here and I'm going to do a text replace. I'm going to replace left with right. Well, 4 occurrences. I think that's good. Replace all. Nice. Okay. Now I'm going to convert these to integers. We all remember how to convert a string to an int in Java. Yeah, integer.parseInt. So left operand equals integer parseInt, and then left operand string, and then do the same thing for right. Okay, and now we will compute our sum, and then that will be left operand plus right operand. And then we want to populate the this field right here that's hidden, which is what we call that thing sum, right? Yeah, we call that thing sum. So we'll go use our find view by ID again, and we'll say r.id dot sum, and we'll just call this the sum field. And this will be, it's not an edit text, it's just a text view. Oops. A text view. Import that, yeah. And now we say sum field dot set text. There we go, set text. And there's one that, and we need the string value of the sum. So we'll just say string dot value of sum. So, I mean, what we're doing here is we're using this find by ID to get the Java objects that represent the UI widgets. Sometimes we get information from them, other times we set information in them. Okay. And this will update things. So then let's go check this out. So let's go write it again. And we're going to launch calculator. We're going to say 4 plus 5 equals 9. Nice. Right. And again, we click equals, it calls this code, it gets all the information, et cetera, et cetera. So nice. Okay, so get the values from the UI and display their sum. Hey, let's find out. So yeah, what do you think is going to happen if I give it like Q here? What was that?
Like mine.
Yeah, we'll go back to main. Let's see what happens. Ah, it did. Okay, yeah, what happens if we say it again? Q and then phone bill keeps stopping. Yeah, there's a bug there. Yeah. And so actually, let's see here. I think we can. Where is the, yeah, can we see it here? Yeah, look at that. Okay. So here we go down to the log, right? There's the Android log, and as you can see, what happens is that there's actually a stack trace there. So, much like when you have an uncaught exception in your main, we had an uncaught exception here. And it's saying, hey, listen, I couldn't get I couldn't do that on click. And if you look down here, yep, there's the number format exception. And sure enough, it comes from line 40, which is integer not parsant. So we need to do here. Sorry, what? I like that. That's really good. You can do that. Yeah. Yeah, one thing that you can do, excuse me, in here, let's go back to design view. I'm pretty sure there's a way, it's called type, input type text, input type. Oh, pick a resource. I think there is. You say like number? Yeah. You could do it that way. This actually stops in the UI. This is a cool way to do it. That'll certainly work. What I was thinking about, doing though instead is catching the exception and handling it. Although you know what a toast is, so you can imagine how you do that, right? Grab and tap, try catch, have a nice little error message. You want to do that. Awesome. Okay. Um, Matt, nice stopping point. Would you like a 10-minute break or do you want to end 10 minutes early? 10 minutes, okay? Good. Okay, let's soldier through then. Okie doke. Let me check my notes, see where I want to go next. Yes. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is now that I've calculated a value, I also want to keep a running tab of all the sums that I've computed, or actually the most recent sum that I've computed, and I want to send that back to the main page. Okay, is what I want to do. So, and this is basically demonstrating how to send data between activities. Right, you have one activity that does one thing, and maybe it produces a result that you want to send back to the first activity. So, there is a couple of things that we need to do. The first thing is that the calculator activity, when you go back to main. You need to tell, well, the main activity, or really the previous activity, what the sum was. So what we're going to do is when we compute the sum, instead of keeping it here in a local variable, we're going to put it in a field that we can then reference in this method. So I'm going to refactor this, and I'm going to I'm going to say extract field. So instead of the sum being a variable, sum is going to be, yep, a field. Okay, and so now there is a sum field up here. And now here in my go back to main activity, I'm going to do the following. So now instead of this activity just finishing, it's going to say, well, I finished with a result. And a result is actually conveyed through an intent. These intents are magic. They show up all over the place. It's like whenever you need to have a little piece of data that gets sent around, is you put in an intent. So we're going to make a new intent. And this intent doesn't really go anywhere. It's an empty one. But one of the things that intents have is all of this extra data that you can associate with it, kind of metadata or just a payload. And so you can say the following. You can say, intent. And then you can say put some extra stuff there. And these are key value pairs. They've got a name and they've got some value. And I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call it sum in all caps. And then the value is going to be this dot sum. And now, instead of finishing, I'm going to call the set result method of this, and this takes a result code. So there's like a result OK, like hey, everything was happy here, and then it has an optional intent, so we can put it that way. Oh, I'm sorry, you still need to call finish. So this basically says, hey, listen, when this activity finished, I'm going to say, yep, it had a result associated with it. So let's just make sure this works by running the app. That was interesting, it crashed. And so we're going to launch the calculator and we're going to do 4 plus 7 equals 11. Great. When I click back to main, it didn't crash, but it sent that data back. And now I need to do something with that data. Okay. And that requires changes. So I made those changes where I put where I store the sum inside an intent. I did that in the calculator activity, but now I need to go back to the main activity and make it aware that when it launches the calculator, it's going to return something interesting. So back in the main activity, I'm going to do the following. When I launch the calculator, I'm going to launch it a little bit differently. I'm going to say instead of just start activity, I'm going to say start activity for result. And yeah, these are deprecated, but it's all right. So in addition to the intent, I need to give it that request code, and the request code is that's interesting. Right. The request code is well, it's a number and let's say 42. That's cool. Okay. Now this will go and we'll launch the activity saying, hey, when that activity returns, it's going to return with code 42. The way so when the main activity comes back to being displayed after the calculator activity returns, there's a method that called is this right? No, I want to override a method. How do I override a method? Is it control? There we go. I'm going to override a method called on activity result. On activity result. There we go. Now, this is a callback method that is invoked when the result of an activity that this activity launched comes back. Okay, and so is this the way it works? Like I said last time, UI programming is very asynchronous, meaning that any piece of code doesn't necessarily know when it's going to be invoked, who invokes it, right? Launch calculator is invoked by kind of the underlying system by when you click the button, um, and so then you need to be responsive or reactive to events that happen, and a button click is an event, but so is an activity returning a result. So we've got the request code, the result code, and then the intent. So the first thing that we do is call super.onActivityResult just to do some bookkeeping and stuff. And then we say the following. The first thing we're going to look at is the request code. And the request code is this 42 value here. And so then, I could say, well, basically I want to say, hey, if the request code that's here in this method is 42, then, this is the calculator activity result. I'm going to put this thing out into a constant here just so that we can reuse it and give it a good name. Refactor, introduce constant, and I'm going to call it get some request. And I'm just going to get some. Great. So now if I say if the request code equals get some, now this is the one I care about. Oops, nope. There we go. Okay. So if this is basically, if onActivity result is invoked, as a result of the calculator activity, then I'm about to receive a new sum. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that, if the result code equals result okay, result okay, then great. I got a great, why doesn't it like this? It's always false. Oh, it should be result code. That's why. Glad I pay attention. Good. And now I want to get the intent. And so then I want to get the sum that was included there. And so now I want to say get data dot, I want to say get, and I want to say get is going to be an int. Get int extra. Yep. And let's see here. The name of it, it was over here in the calculator activity. So it's sum. This is another place where I'm going to want a constant now because I'm going to want to use that in the other class. I'm just going to call it sum or maybe some value. Nah, just sum. I'm going to reference that over here. I'm going to say calculator activity dot sum and default value of 0. And then here I'm going to put it into a variable and I'm going to call it sum. And then, why is that? May produce null pointer exception. Now, why would that be? Oh, because data might be null. Right. And data not equal null. There we go. Nice. Oh yeah, right. There's got this nullable annotation saying that null might be passed in. Have a nice thing. That's going to be my sum, and I'm just going to put it in a toast. Um, toast. Yay. And then here sum is the sum. Nice, nice, nice. So this is the way the data is passed back and forth between activities. Um, yeah, so let's launch it and see how it goes. Again, it's like I've got this interaction between the two activities. So I'll launch the calculator. I'll do 5 plus 7, that equals 12. I click back to main. When I click back to main, let's remind ourselves what that code does now. When I click back to main, it creates this intent with with the sum value in there and says, yep, it's okay. And then that will be received by this on activity result. We just make sure that, yep, it's the request that we expected that's been fulfilled, and that all the that everything happy happened, and then we'll go get the sum value from that intent and display it in a toast. So it should be 12. Click go back to main. Yep, and there's the sum is 12. So that's how you send data back and forth. Okay. Send data between activities using an intent. Siri's like, do you want to start a timer for 8 minutes? And we're not mobbing tonight, but you know me so well, AI. Okay. Okay, so now we've got our calculator, and okay, for a moment there we saw the sum. Well, now I want to here on the main page, I want to have a list of all the sums that I've calculated. And so I want this, visual list of all these numbers. And here I'm going to use a widget called a list view. So I'm going to add a new widget to my main, so you can watch me fumble around in the editor again. So let's see here, activity main, and here I'm going to have something called a list view. And so let me go add one of those. I'm going to go find myself a list view. There it is. Great. And let's put it here and then swell. Yeah, let's just do the XML. Okay. So let's quick do here the list view. We're going to put it here just so I can make sense. And button, well, whatever. Okay, so I need to give these reasonable names now. So this will be hello. Let's call that there. Instead of button, this will be launch calculator. And again, I need to give these reasonable names because I'm going to reference them here in the layout for the list view. I'm going to put these in a more reasonable order. I don't know, it drives me crazy. Constraint top, constraint start, constraint end, constraint bottom. Sweet. Okay. Well, that's weird. Okay. Okay, so let's see. The top of this thing will be to the bottom of the thing above it, which is hello. Start, and then the bottom of this thing, sorry, the bottom of this will be the top of launch calculator. Launch calculator. The bottom of this thing will be the top of oh, we need to give it an ID. And there'll be plus ID. We'll just call this sums. There we go. And so this will be to the top of sums. And then oops, what did I just do there? Nothing bad. Oh my gosh, why this order? Top, bottom, start, end. Okay, the top of this will be the bottom of, oops, the broom of, yes, the bottom of sums. And the bottom of this will be to the bottom of parent. Ooh, that's weird. Did I do this right? Yeah, I did. Okay. This would be the bottom of parent. And of course, sorry, parent, I guess, didn't say is the, is the screen, I guess. Yeah, yeah, the entire activity itself. That looks pretty good. Let me see how it displays. Not exactly what I wanted. What did I miss? Oh, thank you. Oh, that's totally messed up. No yellow line. Android Studio, you're breaking my heart. Okay, that looks way better. Okay, nice. And it's got a little scroll box in it and everything like that. That's interesting. We could make it bigger. Maybe we have to later, but it'll be good for now. Okay, so we added this new widget, right? Step one, add a new widget. Step two, do stuff with the widget. Okay, so then that means we go to our Java code. Actually, I just want to launch to make sure that looks okay. Oh, maybe I guess it would. Yeah, there's nothing in there yet. So okay, let's go put something in it. Yeah. Okay. So now we are going to go back to our main activity. That's where the Java code's going to be. I'm going to close all these other files. Bunch of nonsense. Let's see here. All of these can be. Oops, I just closed all those. What did I do? Can I select multiple of them? Okay, maybe I can't. Sorry. Nice. Okay. Main activity. Okay. There's this list view now, and we want to put some stuff in it. Now list views are interesting objects in that they're backed by what's called a model, which is basically like the underlying data. And then these have some interesting properties. You can learn all about them in the yeah, in the lecture. And so in the case of a list view is backed by this object called an array adapter. So here in my, I guess in my on create, um, I'm going to initialize an array adapter, and it'll be an array adapter of integers. Equals new array adapter. And then let's see here. What do I need to do? Yeah, I need to, oops, I need to give it a value. I'll call this sums. Great. And then what's in here? Oh, yeah. Right, this magic. Okay, so array adapter needs some stuff. Okay, so it needs a context, just like when you create when we created the intent, we provided a context. And then it's kind of hard for me to explain. You need to give it like this template UI object that it then uses to populate itself. Yeah, we'll just call it magic and let's do it in, you can read more about it on your own if you want. And so then I have always had to consult my notes on this one. So there is an R object that's not for your application, but for all applications called Android.R. Oops. Okay, good. Found it then. And then I also have to remember we want layout. Layout. So these are a bunch of layout constants and stuff. And we want simple list item one. Great. I just know it works. And then let's see here. Oh, and then we can give it like a list of integers. And so then we will call it just for the sake of yeah, we can give it a bunch of integer objects. And so I'll just give it an integer array. We'll just call it this. And then no, it doesn't like it as an int array. Oh, might not have been initialized. Well, yes. Oops, doesn't like there. Oh, there was one that took. Oh, it has to be a list, an array of object. Fine. Oh, now what does it like? Oh yeah, right. Okay, that's lame. Okay, fine. We'll just do it the other way. We'll say list of integers, and we'll just call it array. And then yes, we'll import that class. And we'll say list of, which I think will work in this version, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll just call this list. Okay, so we create the array adapter. This is like the underlying data model. And now what we need to do is associate this data model with the list view that we created over here. So it is called sums. So what do? We use our old friend find view by ID. We'll say r.sums. Oops, r.id.sums right there. We'll call this sums view, list view. And then this will be a list view. Yep. And then what we do simply is we say sums list view dot set adapter to be our data adapter, our sums. Now, when we launch it, yep, there we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We just might make it a little taller, but whatever. Yeah, exercise to the reader. Okay, cool. So what do we just do there? Here, when we created our activity, we created a new array adapter around this list of numbers, and we associated it with the list view. So then populate a list with some canned data. Now, we don't want to have the canned data. We want to have the actual sums that are returned. So we're going to do the following. We are going to, let's see here. Yeah, we don't need to have this thing here, so I can delete that. Now we don't need this anymore. And but what we actually want to do is we want to, when we get the sum down here on the onActivity result, we want to populate this array adapter. So I'm going to promote this thing to a field. I'm going to say refactor. I'm going to say introduce field. I'm going to call it sums. So yep, there it is. Now it's sums. And down here, when I get the sum, instead of popping it up here, I'm going to say this dot sums dot add sum. I'm going to launch the calculator. I'm going to say 4 plus 5 equals 9. Go back to main. Now it's got 9. Go launch the calculator again. I'm going to say 1 plus 2 is 3. Back to main, and now it's got 3 in it. See how we've combined the two things, right? But you know, it's the code is nice and straightforward. It's all isolated here in this class. Now, instead of just toasting it, we're adding it to that to the array adapter. And notice that when you update the array adapter, it automatically updates the view. This is a very common thing in UI widgets where there's this whole, you might have heard about the model view controller pattern or something like that. Okay, good. You guys learn about such things, great. And so the whole idea is that there's an underlying model and everything is connected so that when the model changes, the UI knows to display it. Sweet. Okay, populate the view with the calculated sums. Are we doing on time? 10 more minutes. Oops, Suji's. No. Now commit and push anyway. Okay. So this is neat. We've got ourselves a couple of numbers, but hey, listen, if I stop my app, oops, if I stop my app, watch me as I, here we go, and launch it again, it's all gone. Oh no. Okay. So I'd like to be able to save my list of sums to persistent storage and read it back. Android is built on top of Linux. Linux is a real operating system. Linux has a file system. Therefore, Android apps have access to the file system. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to write the files out to a file that the app has access to. So what we're going to do is the following. So let's see here. After we add this here, we're going to say write sums to file. So we're just going to create a method, not a field. Heavens, what? That's the method. There. Great. Okay. And so then I'm going to, let's see here, get some, I'm going to say sums file. Import file first of all. So the cool thing about Android is that no, sorry, is that did that import it correctly? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Java file. and Android has a no, sorry, Android, because it's Java, you can use all the Java APIs or most of the Java APIs that you're used to. So you can use the Java IO APIs, things we've been working with since like the third week of class. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it I'm going to put it in get data directory. Yeah. So there's the app, each application has its own data directory. As you may recall from the lecture, every Android app runs as its own user on your device, which provides, well, like Unix level file isolation because it's like its own user. And so it only has permission to read its own files and things like that, which provides a lot of security. And we're going to call this just sums.txt. And what we're going to do, we're going to write all of the sums out to the file. So, we all know how to do this by now. We will say we're going to have a print writer. PW equals new print writer around a new file writer for the sums file. And then we're going to, sorry, we're going to say true auto flush. And it probably doesn't like the fact this is, we're just going to put that there. And here we're going to wrap it in try catch. And then we're going to make a toast. Oops, this. And then we're going to say get message. Great. And we're just going to write every one of them. So for int sum, oh, actually, I can't remember. So we go to the adapter. So we say this dot sums. And what do we say? This thing is, do we get an iterator? Do we, can't remember. Well, I bet it's my notes. Or maybe not. Nope, not in my notes. How do we iterate over this thing? Add all, get count, get item. Lame. Okay. For int I equals 0, while I is less than this dot sums dot get count. I plus plus, I guess. Yeah. I plus plus. And then we say int sum equals this dot sums dot get item at position I. What doesn't like there? Unboxing may produce null pointer exception. No, because it might have nulls. Well, meh. Okay, and then we are going to say pw.println of sum. And that should do an auto close and everything like that. It's auto flush. Nice. Okay, so let's run the program again. I want the calculator. I say 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 didn't get a null point. I didn't get a null pointer exception or an IO exception. Somewhere here is it under running devices? No, where device manager? Damn it, I can never remember. Am I smart enough to write it down? Okay, let me go find. There used to be anyway, a device explorer. Let's see here. Device explorer. There it is, device explorer. It's okay, I guess you search for it and it shows up. Okay, this lets you look at the file system for the emulator. And this is where I gotta look at my notes. It is slash data and then data and then oh, look, it's different now. I used to have it. Yeah, I did a search for it and I searched for Device Explorer. There might be a way. Oh, maybe there's a way over here. Show tool window names. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Well, that's kind of nice. Yeah, I guess it just adds it over here. Maybe there's a way to like bring it up otherwise.
Vice manager.
Is that what it is?
Vice.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Sweet. That has it down here. Okay, thank you. That's helpful too. Let's see here. Data, app, nope, data. And then you go down to the edu PDX. Yeah. And then oh, there it is, sums.txt. Okay, it's in a different place than it used to be. And there you go, 7. Okay. And so you can, run it again and launch the calculator, and you can say 3 plus 5 is 8. Back to main, 7, 8. Oh, did I not do 6, 7? I'm so sorry. 7, 8. Okay. I know, right? Okay. Excellent. Okay, so now you can write to that. And similarly, you can imagine how you can read to it, read into it here when you create your sums object. I'm not, am I? No, I want to show something else here well, although it is time. So I've got one more thing to show, and I can go into detail next time if you really want. I think the most important thing here, though, is let's see here, write sums to a file. There's one last thing I want to show off, and that's important for the assignment, is how to add, how to use, your like phone bill code. Is a file persistent across emulator launches? It is, yeah, it's persistent across emulator launches. If you then go and clean out go to device manager and then you say like wipe data, then it'll go. But otherwise, yeah, you can start and stop the emulator and the file should still be there. Great question. So one of the things that you'll want to have in your code is all this stuff. Okay, here we go. You're going to want to have your phone bill class. Um, Actually, we'll just do phone call. And you want phone call to extends abstract phone call. But it can't find it. And that's because this project needs to depend on on my jar file on my thing. Now you didn't have to add these kind of things before because the Maven project all did it for you. But instead, what you need to do here is you need to go look at the app build. There you go, the app build.gradle. Yep, and this is Gradle. And here in dependencies, you need to add a new implementation for the following. So you need to give it. And this is in the assignment, I'm pretty sure. Actually, let me just go find it in the assignment. Make sure we get it right here. Yeah, it's this IO GitHub. It's this format here. Joy projects 304. And we'll just paste that here. But it doesn't like they're saying like user version catalog. Great. Okay, so now I've done this. Now, does it find it? Oh yeah, project Gradle files have changed to the last project sync. Please sync now. Oh, good, it found it. Maybe? No, it's still syncing in progress. Let's see if it found it. Nope. Oh, and it says I need to import it. No, I think it knows about it. It knows about it. Great. And so you'll need that so you need to make this one change to the build.gradle. So let's implement the methods. Great, 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 great. And yeah. So now what maybe I'll show on Wednesday is how you can, instantiate these in your in your program and then use them. But you'll need to use the phone call and phone bill class and also the text dumper, all that kind of good stuff, which then inherit my classes. In order to use my classes, you need to add that Gradle dependency. Okay. So that's like, I think what you need to know. I think those are lots of pieces parts. So I hope you're imagining how you can put together in your own application. I'm of course happy to answer any more questions that you have, but that's all the Android stuff I wanted to show you for tonight. Anything else I'd discuss? Okay. Excellent. Then have a great evening, everybody. I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.